A breakthrough after W5 exposes a dark web of men secretly drugging and filming their own partners. The undercover work that triggered an overseas arrest.
Ain't no pill gonna cure this ill. Behind bars is gonna stop it.
And what the suspect is saying about his alleged victim. What's on the agenda at a pivotal foreign ministers meeting Canada is hosting.
Meeting global challenges requires global partnerships.
Plus, powerful stories of heroism and sacrifice. Remembrance Day commemorations and the meaningful messages to Canadians.
I'm so glad that my son thought I should come here.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. We begin tonight with a major development in a W5 investigation into an online network of men who secretly drug and videotape the abuse of their wives and girlfriends. After infiltrating the group and confirming the identity of a man who befriended her online, Avery Haynes shared evidence with police in Switzerland, and she tells us what happened next.
On a porn website, dozens of videos of a middle-aged woman who appears to be drugged. At times, her abuser shows his face obscured by a mask. We nickname him Henri. Offering to be my online mentor, he sends me lengthy emails describing in horrific detail the crimes he commits weekly against his unsuspecting wife. Eventually, he shares his first name, where he lives, and his profession. With just that information, I did a search on LinkedIn, and there was one hit. The glasses and facial structure appear to match, but we need more to be sure. Typing the man's full name into YouTube, this wedding video from 2 years ago pops up. His bride is the same woman in the abuse videos. Scouring through Facebook photos, we match a ring that she wears with a ring on the hand of the woman being abused. We also match the room in the videos with an apartment in Geneva, Switzerland. In his emails, Henri describes his wife as his object. I had a lot of fun with my wife, transformed into a toy. Your doll will do everything you want, guaranteed. He reveals that he's been drugging women for decades. None of the women I sedated suffered any after effects, none.
He's pretty much laid himself open to you. He's given you the doses, he's given you the MO, given you his important insights to his mindset.
Veteran Canadian criminal profiler Jim Van Allen analyzed my email conversations with Henri.
Henri really matches the overall expectations of a drug-facilitated sexual assault offender. Personable, charming, manipulative, a flare of narcissism.
In his emails, Henri shares explicit details of increasingly invasive and dangerous ways of drugging his wife. He also reveals that she has sleep apnea. He writes to me, well, she has respiratory arrest very rarely. So what? We don't die from it.
He's playing with fire here. He's not a doctor, but he thinks he's very bright. And he figures he has 20 years experience in sedation. He deserves to get caught. He needs to be caught.
Believing her life is at risk, we share our information with police in Geneva, Switzerland. And now, months later, they confirm an arrest on charges of rape and sexual coercion. The suspect is in pre-trial detention. Criminal profiler Van Allen says men who carry out drug-facilitated sexual assault are not easily cured of their deviancy.
Ain't no pill gonna cure this ill. Behind bars is gonna stop it.
We're not releasing the suspect's name in order to protect the identity of his alleged victim, his wife. Avery Haynes, CTV News, Toronto.
And in part 2 tomorrow, a survivor exposes the identity of a man who secretly drugged, sexually assaulted, and videotaped her for years as a teen. Turning to other news now, and the thousands of Canadians who gathered at the National War Memorial in Ottawa to pause and pay tribute. 80 years since the end of the Second World War and 72 years since the end of the Korean War. a somber moment of reflection to honor their sacrifice. Here's CTV's Abigail Beeman.
They came to Ottawa from coast to coast.
We have so many Newfoundlanders and who've passed through the wars.
I feel we owe a debt of gratitude to those servicemen and women who, from the past, the present, and the future.
There's a heaviness, knowing each year fewer and fewer are at the national ceremony like Elmer Friesen, here from Calgary at 103. Second World War veterans now number fewer than 4,000.
I'm so glad that my son thought I should come here to experience this alive. So moving.
If we don't remember, well, the world's enough of a mess. You can see what happens when we don't.
Time marches on. Now we have to remember our newer veterans, ones returning from Afghanistan, Bosnia, and the newer conflicts, and what we're facing today.
My transition's been pretty good. I have good days, bad days. To be here today is something that I've always wanted to do.
A service imbued with meaning. The Silver Cross mother, Nancy Payne, remembers son Randy, killed in Afghanistan. Weather so miserable, the traditional fly past replaced by a single helicopter. But still, they stood.
You want to stand up? Yes, I do.
Elmer Friesen determined to lay a poppy on the tomb of the unknown soldier for his late brother.
They sacrificed so many guys and never came home. And here I am sitting here and people are admiring me for, and it was a privilege for me to be in the service.
It has become a tradition to lay a poppy here after the ceremony, a small but impactful gesture, leaving a striking red tribute to all those who served and those who gave their lives for Canada. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Across Canada, communities held ceremonies to express gratitude to fallen heroes. This was Victory Square in Vancouver, where thousands gathered to pay their respects. In Manitoba, the Royal Winnipeg Rifles, known as the Little Black Devils, hosted a ceremony at Vimy Ridge Memorial Park for people to gather and remember. And in St. John's, the Ode to Newfoundland played as those who made the ultimate sacrifice were honored. In the UK, Princess Kate attended a national memorial ceremony for Armistice Day, honoring fallen soldiers in the British military, while Queen Camilla led a remembrance service at Paddington train station, laying a wreath of poppies. And in the U.S., President Donald Trump laid a wreath at Arlington National Cemetery for Veterans Day. Foreign ministers from all G7 countries, including the U.S., are meeting in Ontario's Niagara-on-the-Lake. CTV's Rachel Aiello is there tonight. And Rachel, there's lots on the agenda in a very short amount of time. And for Canada, a high-stakes meeting tomorrow. Tell us what we can expect in the discussions.
Hosting her global counterparts at this Niagara resort, Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand has promised a jam-packed next 24 hours, focused on finding common ground on shared economic, security, and energy challenges. G7 foreign ministers have gathered in Ontario to discuss Russia's persisting war in Ukraine, the urgent crises in Haiti and Sudan, the path towards peace in the Middle East, maritime and Arctic security, as well as the push to develop critical minerals. Since these issues require global cooperation, Canada's foreign minister has invited several non-G7 nations to take part in these talks, including Mexico, Ukraine, India, Saudi Arabia, and South Africa.
Meeting global challenges requires global partnerships. The issues we are facing transcend the G7 and our borders. And this is why it is absolutely vital that we have diverse geographic representation around the table.
As has been the case throughout Canada's G7 presidency this year, U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war is looming large. And with Canada-U.S. talks stalled, tomorrow Anand will have a chance to try and revive those high-stakes negotiations when she sits down for a one-on-one meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. On the sidelines of the summit tonight, Anand met privately with several other world leaders. Tomorrow, the broader discussions begin, and we'll see what, if any, tangible outcomes can be agreed to. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Niagara-on-the-Lake.
And a chaotic scene today at another global summit, the United Nations COP30 climate conference in Brazil. Dozens of indigenous protesters clashed with security guards as they tried to force their way into the summit's main venue. There were no serious injuries reported. Ghislaine Maxwell, who is serving 20 years for sex trafficking underage girls for convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, is reportedly preparing a request to the Trump administration for clemency. And there are also allegations she is getting special treatment behind bars. Here's CTV's Joy Malbin.
Outside this prison camp in Texas, Ghislaine Maxwell is reportedly working on her freedom. The convicted sex trafficker plans to ask President Donald Trump to commute her prison sentence. That's according to the top Democrat on the congressional committee investigating Jeffrey Epstein's criminal network. Congressman Jamie Raskin says a whistleblower detailed that and a list of Maxwell's prison perks, from playing with puppies to computer use.
The whistleblower made clear that Ghislaine Maxwell is just in a completely different category than every other prisoner. She gets essentially room service behind bars. She can use the shower. She can use the gym whenever she wants to.
The family of Virginia Giuffre are horrified. In Virginia's posthumous memoir, she called Maxwell a sexual predator who trafficked her to rich and powerful men, alleging the former Prince Andrew sexually abused her when she was just a minor.
If King Charles can strip Andrew of the prince title over just affiliations, why is our president not definitively ruling out a convicted sex trafficker of minors, of children?
Donald Trump's lawyer interviewed Maxwell in federal prison last July after she claimed President Trump was not involved in any illegal activities. Maxwell was suddenly transferred to this prison camp. Congressman Raskin claims the whistleblower says the warden there is helping Maxwell apply for her freedom.
Ghislaine Maxwell is actively seeking a commutation, a pardon from the president right now.
The White House says it doesn't comment on potential clemency requests, but the president has said before of Maxwell that he has not ruled out a pardon. Omar?
All right, Joy, thank you. New travel frustration today for many in the U.S., even with an end in sight to the government shutdown. The Federal Aviation Administration reduced flights by 6% to help with staffing shortages because of unpaid traffic controllers who are not coming into work. That will increase to 10% of flights by the end of the week. The Senate has passed a deal to fund the government through January 30th, and a vote in the House is expected tomorrow. It is the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. Well, not quite a historic snowfall in Quebec, but enough to surprise even the experts. Environment Canada says it did not expect a snow band to shift, dumping 20 centimeters on Montreal, nearly 4 times the forecast. CTV's Denise Roberts on the impact.
This morning, Montrealers got out their shovels and, in some cases, generators. The first major snowstorm of the season caught many off guard, including Hydro-Quebec.
We were expecting precipitations, mostly in the form of rain, but we did receive snow instead.
About 20 centimeters of snow fell across the city overnight, weighing down branches and downing power lines, leaving nearly 400,000 hydro customers without power this morning. The storm's severity also surprised forecasters.
It's like what we call an Alberta clipper, and so it moves very quickly, it hits and runs, but this one sort of kind of slowed down.
Climatologist David Phillips says this system stayed for 50 hours and included just about everything from snow to freezing rain to ice pellets. But he says what made it worse was the temperature and the leaves still on the trees.
What ends up is the snow becomes very wet. sticky like glue.
In Hudson, fallen power lines forced the closure of a major intersection. Traffic was detoured through Liane-Marie Durocher's parking lot.
Rush hour this morning was very, very tough. There was a lot of angry people. There was a school bus that ended up in the ditch that had to be towed.
And with no power, there's no business for the day.
There's no mixing of paint. There is no shaking of gallons.
The storm also meant many schools couldn't open, though for some, that was good news.
For my son to be able to have a snow day and run around in the snow and make a snowman and a snow fort, I think, those are the nice things.
Philip says the timing of the storm isn't unusual. Montreal usually has its first snowfall by November 6th, and he says you should enjoy it while it's here.
By the weekend, this will be all gone.
Denise Roberts, CTV News.
As the temperature drops, the number of flu cases often goes up. There are warnings about the current strain of influenza and how this year's vaccine might not completely protect you. Here's CTV's Heather Wright.
A severe strain and a mismatched vaccine could mean a bad flu season for Canada.
The specific strain we're worried about this year is called H3N2. It tends to have more severe seasons.
Though not a direct indicator, countries in the north always look to the south for clues to how the upcoming flu season might unfold, as theirs starts earlier. And in Australia, this year was particularly bad. The highest number of lab-confirmed cases ever amid declining vaccination rates. Another challenge, the vaccine developed for the upcoming flu season is not a perfect match to the strain circulating.
You try and predict what's going to emerge, but the virus mutates very quickly. And some years that match is very good. Some years it's not as good. We may be running into a situation this year, and I think may is the important word because it's not a perfect prediction where the match is not as good.
This year's flu vaccine targets 2 influenza A strains, including a subtype of H3N2, as well as an influenza B strain. Doctors say some protection is better than no protection.
Even if it's not a perfect match, there'll be some degree of protection. You might still get sick, but you might be protected from, for example, hospitalization or pneumonia, or the more severe consequences of infection.
The Public Health Agency of Canada says it's far too early to predict whether Canada will see a severe flu season. Among the factors that will have an impact are the effectiveness of the vaccine, but also other respiratory illnesses like RSV and COVID. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Coming up.
I want to be part of something that is so positive.
How a veteran and former politician plans to serve his country after death. Former federal Conservative leader and veteran Erin O'Toole is revealing a new plan to serve in the name of science. Here's CTV's Natalie Johnson.
It's about 5K.
Down on the boardwalk by his East End home, Erin O'Toole still maintains a quick pace in life after politics.
When I run, I generally go to the volleyball courts.
The former federal Conservative leader harnesses physical activity to support brain health, grateful that he never suffered a brain injury during his years of service in the military.
Our veterans serve, and many of them come back with injuries, both physical, mental, some aren't visible. And traumatic brain injury is something that we're really starting to understand.
Now, in this time of remembrance, O'Toole is pledging to donate his brain when he dies to Project Enlist. Research conducted by the Concussion Legacy Foundation to better understand the impact of military service on the brain.
You first think of the roadside bomb and, the light armored vehicle and the concussion, but it doesn't have to be that dramatic.
It's this revelation that it's not just concussions. It's the cumulative non-concussive impacts over time that people sustain during the course of their service that can end up leading to mental health issues, neurodegenerative disease, CTE.
Even though O'Toole didn't suffer head trauma during his time in the military, his brain can serve as a baseline or control for the testing. So far, more than 500 veterans have pledged to donate their brains for research.
I think we need to make sure we have the best protection, headgear and other things for our men and women in uniform. And we have to find treatment methods to reduce injury and treat it early so that there can be a quality of life.
Quality of life that is so critical year-round, well after Canadians take off their poppies when the Remembrance Day ceremony ends.
I hope this donation will take place a long time in the future, but I want to be part of something that is so positive.
arming the Canadian military with research that will help to better educate and equip. Another step forwards in supporting those who serve. Natalie Johnson, CTV News, Toronto.
Still ahead. What killed the original lead guitarist and founding member of rock band Kiss? An autopsy has revealed the cause of death for the original legendary Kiss guitarist, Ace Frehley. The former Kiss rocker died of blunt trauma injuries to the head after he suffered an accidental fall last month. Frehley, considered one of the greatest heavy metal guitarists of all time, is the first of Kiss's 4 founding members to pass away. Frehley was 74. Portuguese soccer superstar Cristiano Ronaldo says he's getting close to hanging up his cleats.
So you expect this World Cup to be your last, do you?
Definitely yes, because I will be 41 years old.
He has not won a World Cup, and if next year's tournament is his last, Ronaldo's final match could be played in Canada. Still ahead, how an extremely long walk is helping to heal some deep wounds. Walking is good for your health, but how about a month-long loop around Prince Edward Island? CTV's Maria Saru caught up with some Canadians making the trek to find out what they learned along the way.
Boots on red soil and one step after another. Veteran Sheldon White finished part of the island walk this fall, a 707-kilometer loop around P.E.I. as a personal challenge.
The military experience helped a little bit because I was familiar with going on long marches, but it was more challenging than I expected.
White flew airlifters for search and rescue and served a tour in Afghanistan before returning to the island to teach engineering. The former commander says out here, the mission is simple but not easy.
Walking for 5 hours straight without a break is actually fairly hard, and then to do that multiple times. I have a lot of respect for the people who've done the entire walk.
Much of the island walk runs right here on the Confederation Trail. Some tackle it by foot, others by bike, with many finding hard-earned healing along the way.
It's been a hell of a trip.
Sandra Cernowski from Winnipeg walked for 32 days, carrying profound personal loss.
I wanted to find out who I was after my husband passed away, after his battle with cancer.
All around, there were signs he was walking with her.
So this penny here, can you see it? There was a day on the trail and I looked down and I found a penny. I picked it up and I looked really close and it said 1972 on it. And my husband was born in 1972.
Bryson Guptill created the Island Walk in 2019 after finishing a couple long treks in Europe. He wanted to give Canadians the experience closer to home.
When you walk for over a month and you're carrying everything you own on your back, it's a very, very cleansing experience.
Back on the road, White aims to finish the walk next year. Maria Saru, CTV News, Charlottetown.
And that's a snapshot of this Tuesday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night, and see you tomorrow.